Yeah. So, but before the break, we were talking a little bit about how, you have the regular members of Congress and the appropriators, and sometimes it seems like the appropriators are running the process, certainly with regard to spending. But one of the interesting fights we just saw recently in the news, when they deposed House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, some of his opponents were making the argument that Congress had failed to do its job because it did not pass the 12 appropriation bills, that instead they were looking at doing a CR or perhaps an omnibus where they roll all the bills into one. In terms of improving transparency, how much of a problem is it, the fact that Congress routinely just lumps all the appropriations into one big bill, as opposed to actually passing the 12 individual separate bills?
Steve, I think you hit on a very, very important topic, and that topic is trust. And I think every time you have a process that is ignored or is not treated with respect or is not held, people are not held accountable for, I think that takes another chink out of the armor or another rung out of the ladder of trust that the public has for the government. And I think in making things transparent and making people accountable, you have to start with small accomplishments and small steps first, because that's how you build trust. Is you don't build trust by running into a stranger and giving them a big bear hug. You start by having a conversation about common values and common ideas and ideals, and you agree on the small points and you build that relationship from there. And what we have in government today is a government where everything has to be, the big action. It has to be, Obamacare. It has to be something that is gargantuan. And if it doesn't get done exactly as people say it will, which is, of course, one of the problems with overpromising, but if it doesn't, that has a negative impact on the public's trust in what the government can do. And so I think, what you're addressing really is that element of trust. How do you build that into the accounting system, into the budgetary process, so that people can see that they're making progress step by step and not just sort of waiting until the big mess is either thrown together or thrown out at the end?
So is there some sort of process reform that would encourage Congress to deal with each of the bills separately, one at a time, as opposed to just rolling it all into one?
Well, I think that would be well worth looking into. And certainly, if there are deadlines, they should be held to be kept. And if they aren't kept, there should be um, consequences for those things having been missed. So my feeling is that there needs to be a broader, more transparent analysis of all of these different steps, and that we need to start figuring out how to incorporate the accomplishment and the accounting for not accomplishing those steps in the members that are dealing with those particular legislative or accounting processes.